Welcome back to Arise Prime Time. I'm Charles Anyegulu, and this is the point in the program that I introduce our guest analyst, who is here to give his perspective on nearly everything we've covered in the past 45 minutes or so on the program. And today I'm joined here in the studio by the public affairs commentator, Arise News analyst, and head of mass communications at Bayes University in Abuja, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Good to see you, Prof. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
How explosive is this issue between the APC and the PDP in your assessment?
Well, I think for us observers, it's actually becoming more emotionally draining, really. You know, sometimes you just wish that some of these things wouldn't come to this stage, but here we are. And these are things that you probably expect in a time of campaign like this. You know, each party, hitting at the other one's jugular, trying to undo them. But how these things will translate to gathering a vote or the absence of it is still another question. And I really doubt that at this stage it may not even up to anything in terms of determining who will win or who will lose. I think they're just throwing these jabs at themselves, and I want to believe that at the end of the election the thing will just die a natural death.
But that's an interesting point, because as you suggest, we know that it's a hugely emotive, possibly political issue.
Yeah.
But how much is it also a legal problem, and how much does all that feed into this election?
Well, the law is also part of the system. It's also part of the society. The criminal justice system, isn't from the sky. They are integrated in the society. It evolves from the society. They are also listening. They are sensitive to some of these occurrences. Sometimes interpretations may not necessarily be made, without looking at the context in which some of these cases are coming. The context matters, and I'm sure it's going to have impact in terms of assessment if actually it becomes really a matter of legal fireworks. I don't see it growing really seriously, although I listened to Festus Kenyamo this evening, SAN, and he was very determined, but his determination regardless, I find it very, very difficult to take away the political undertone from it. It's still very, very substantial, and it's going to be difficult to convince anyone that that undertone is not there, irrespective of the substance or lack of it of the case that they are pursuing.
That's a good point.
The political atmosphere is still very, very fundamental, and that's what they have to. All the parties will have to try to convince us that it is not the major determinant.
Yes, absolutely. That's the point I was making with Kasima February here, and given that political element that you're talking about. Presumably, the Labour Party and the NNPP, the other two front-runner parties, are rubbing their hands in glee, hoping that the APC and the PDP will blow each other's heads off.
That's right. And if you look at it, it's not really too different from what all the other parties have been saying, particularly the Labour Party, that their kind of narrative is a different one from the old narrative, represented in the PDP and the APC. They are a new narrative, they are making a new statement, and that's why they have become like a movement, and that's why they are appealing to those who want a contrasting dimension in the conversation around the future of Nigerian politics. And also, this just fits into it, and it's just for them to just lash on it and say, you see, we've been saying all this, here we are again. This is the reason. This is another reason why Nigerians should vote for them. So I see them also feeding on it, and political times, of course, you want to feed on the weaknesses or controversies that you think will help you advance your own case or cause. So if they do so, I'm not going to be too surprised.
But of course, if the conflict deepens and ends up in court, Labour and the NNPP could be the beneficiaries, couldn't they? I mean, if this line of grievance between the APC and the PDP deepens.
It's just 5 weeks away. Even if it goes to court, I'm not sure anything fundamental can be decided
in time.
In time for the election. But maybe if there are post-election crises, if there are post-election legal fireworks, it might become issues. But presidential elections are hardly determined by the courts if you look at our history. Except that happens, I don't see how it can benefit any of the parties, any of the leading parties in the race. But overall, really, the question I heard you asking is questions around integrity, questions around credibility. It chips a lot away from the personalities involved in this contest, no doubt, you know. And if it's not chipping away, of course, these things have been with us over the years, but these allegations coming up now are just reminding us of the imperfections in our system and speaking to the bigger issue of moral regeneration and the need for us to strengthen our structures, strengthen our institutions, so that our processes and procedures cannot be circumvented, you know, for the benefit of individuals, so that self-aggrandizement, you know, would not be the order of the day. Institutions should rather be strengthened. That's what he's speaking to again, you know, and whether it is the case of APC or the case of PDP, as the case could be.
That's a very good point. Yeah. So what do you reckon happens next?
Well, we're going to continue to see the fireworks, you know.
I mean, they've given 72 hours from yesterday.
Yeah, and from what
from
the way I see Kenyamu speaking, he's going to head to court, you know, or whatever. I don't know the next line. I see him taking the next line of action, you know. However that goes, you know, we're just going to continue to enjoy it. But honestly, it's emotionally draining, no doubt, you know, because we just want peace at the end of the day. We want free, fair, credible election. The tension around the election is actually not good for us, really, because sometimes if it degenerates, you know, it may not be good at the end of the day. And that's why maybe the Peace Committee led by my Lord Bishop Kuka and the former head of state, it's not going to be out of place if they come back again to ask these parties,
absolutely,
you know, to come and sign another accord, you know, because it is we're getting to the business end of the contestation, and of course another accord or another consultation, another meeting will not be out of place, really, just to to thaw the mounting attention, because we do not need it going into the election. If the leaders can be self-respecting, what about the followers, you know? And honestly, what we do not want really is a situation where we will not be able to consolidate our democracy. And consolidating our democracy simply means, you know, having a smooth, you know, peaceful transition. And that can only be determined by an election that is free, fair, and devoid of violence or anything that will become too emotive, you know, leading to covert or overt, you know, instigation of crisis, as the case could be.
So let me just finally, because we've got like literally 30 seconds or so. I mean, I asked Mahdi Shehu this question. Do you think this campaign is getting more ill-tempered as the election approaches?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's becoming more ill-tempered. That's why I'm saying that there should be a voice that is elevated, a voice of reason, and maybe the kind of body constituted by the former leaders, accomplished statesmen, coming together and telling the parties, the contenders, please, come on, can we calm down? Can we have peace?
Pull back.
You know, can we pull back? Remember that you are not doing this for yourself. You've told us you are doing it for the interest of this country. And if it is the interest of Nigeria, there's an extent to which we should be vociferous, you know. And we should be altruistic, remembering that we want, as politicians, we want to be leaders. And if we want to be leaders, you know, our behavior, our attitude should be centered towards the satisfaction of others. And that means that we should be self-restraining.
Okay. Prof, as always, thank you very much indeed. Wise words. Professor Abiodun Adeniyi is the public affairs commentator, Arise News analyst, and head of mass communications at Bayes University in Abuja. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.